Trying to perfect your process before you put something out there in your business is the worst possible strategy that you can use to make progress. In fact, just imagine for a moment that a baby refused to walk before it could do so without falling down. The baby would never walk. So today I want to talk to you about why Jesus wrote in the sand and what that means for you. So if you're ready, let's dive into this episode of the Your Rich Life Podcast. So your business is a living, breathing extension of who you are. It's part of your purpose, it's part of your passion, it's a real, true extension of you. And as entrepreneurship is probably the steepest personal development learning curve that you could ever choose, of course, if you have the courage to choose it, isn't it fair to say then that your business is in constant evolution? And if you spend so much time and effort trying to nail this one and only iteration, is that not like never allowing your children to get past infant school level? Isn't that like not letting a wine age to its best point? Isn't that not like not letting the cheese mature? I mean, not letting a wine age and not letting a cheese mature, that is just tragedy. Yet alone your business, right? So we need, doesn't it make more sense to take action in order for us to evolve so our business keeps up with our own personal evolution? What has this got to do with the statement why Jesus wrote in the sand? I'm about to tell you. You may or may have not have read Glennon Doyle's book Untamed, and I really loved when she wrote, "This is why Jesus wrote in the sand." And when she talked about that, she was referring to the fact that she was on a book tour. And I believe, you'll have to check this out, but I believe she was on a book tour and she'd written about how her and her husband had come through some really hard times and they'd repaired their marriage after, extramarital affair, and how they'd come to this place and this solidarity and yada, yada, yada. But as she went on this book tour, not only was she ready to leave her husband, but she then went off and fell in love with a woman. And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to do this book tour and none of this fits anymore and people are going to judge me for it and da-da-da." And you can really understand her fear. And she said, that's why Jesus wrote in the sand, implying that when we write in the sand, we can just wipe it off and it's forgotten. But what if we didn't write in the sand? What if we actually went with the other way and said, I'm okay to write this down and to verbalize this because I know that I am by nature an evolutionary being. And if my business is a true extension and expression of who I am and where I'm at, that is also going to be in an evolutionary process. So when you get something out there, when you start putting your content and your messaging out there, that's how you get clarity. You don't get clarity by thinking about it and trying to perfect it and assuming that you know what's going to land with your audience. If you don't put something out there and get feedback, that's like saying that you know best, that you know exactly what's going on in the minds of your prospective audience and your prospective clients. You see, action obviously gives us that feedback, but action also creates competency for you, developing your skill set. When we develop our skill set and we commit to competency, we become way more confident in ourselves and in our communication. And on top of all that, the utmost outcome is mastery. Personal mastery, like self-mastery, mastery of our messaging, mastery of our skills. That takes time, and you cannot become a master if you're not taking consistent action, because we learn through our actions. And action in itself creates this evolution. Just think about you. Just think about the action that you've taken over the last 10, 20, 30 years that has brought you to the place that you are at today, to your belief systems, to your manifestation of your reality. Like, what action did you take? So this is a super short message from me today, just to really encourage you to be confident enough to allow your message to evolve and allow your message to change. You are allowed to grow and evolve, and your business is allowed to grow and evolve, because I think primarily because of the steep learning curve that you go on. if you know my story, you know my first business started in around about 2012. I was a fitness trainer, went into personal training, had my own studio. But by 2015, I was miserable. But it took me another 18 months to have the courage to believe in my new message and close that business down without even knowing what it was that I was going to be doing, but I just knew it wasn't that. That the first 4 or 5 years of my business was the hardest journey I'd ever been on. It threw so many limiting beliefs in my way that I didn't even know I had. I didn't even know about limiting beliefs before I started a business. I didn't know I had money mindset issues. So I was in this constant state of like, learn this or get out, learn this or get out, because I didn't know another way. And that journey changed me so much that my business changed. Flying to the States to become a high performance coach at the end of 2018 had a massive, originally negative impact on my marriage. I completely changed. That then changed my messaging within my business. You are allowed to change your message in accordance with your development. Now, what I want to say about that is really, like, you really believe and emotionalize your beliefs at the level that you're at. So before, I could give you another example, before I did the high performance coaching, I had massive limiting beliefs about strategy. I was really, really unclear. I was very scattergun approach. And I didn't know at the time that was because of I didn't believe that I was worthy. I didn't believe I was clever enough to run a business. I didn't feel like a business owner. I felt like somebody that made money on the side. So back then, when I very first started this work, my message was, you don't need a strategy. You just need to take action. You don't need to follow the rules. You don't need to follow somebody else's formula. But that message was at my current level of thinking. Now, as I've developed over the last 3 years and really started to refine my high performance coaching in my own life and done a lot of work about remembering who I truly am and what I'm truly capable of, I've got a totally different definition and therefore belief system around strategy. And now that is my message. Like, you need to have a strategy, but your strategy needs to be aligned with your values, your beliefs, the pace that you want to set in your productivity, what you define success as. Strategy is unique. That's my messaging now. Will it be the same in a couple of years' time? I don't know. It depends what happens. But again, I encourage you to go back to listen to episode number 65 when I talk about just how powerful definitions can be in helping you to change your life. So yes, we can all write in the sand, because that would be easy, wouldn't it? To just wipe things over. And maybe maybe the way that you write in the sand right now is to not write at all, to not speak at all, to not put your stuff out at all. Because if it doesn't go out there, there's no comeback. But I'm going to tell you, like, just write on the paper, do the video, do the email, do whatever you want to do, because you have full permission to evolve. And you've got to remember, when you don't give yourself permission to do it, you don't give other people permission to do it either. Everything you do or not do is a programming for your children, as well as the consciousness at large. So if we are all able to write in the sand, or if let's put it this way, if we don't give ourselves permission to write in the sand, it means that we then believe that we cannot change our mind. It means that we don't believe that we have the right or the capacity to evolve. And evolution is in our very nature. I hope that's helped to just give you a little bit more confidence to just put something out there. See how it lands. Speak from your heart. Go back and listen to my episode, I think it's 66, when I talk about messaging. Honing your messaging is about you rather than what it is that you're saying and who it is that you're saying it to. And what I really want to encourage you to do is I'm going to put a link below for a free training. You don't need to give me your email. It's just straight to a secret YouTube video. 11 different questions, reframes you can ask yourself to put you in a completely different mindset. So you can stop struggling as a solopreneur and step into your truest identity as a success superstar. So make sure you go watch that video now. And if you love it, do like it and leave me a comment. It would mean so much to me. I have really enjoyed this episode as always, and I look forward to speaking to you again in the next episode of the Your Rich Life Podcast.